Men, shame, and the cost of being fine. We've jumped in about the difficulty of sharing emotions for men and how and why men should feel like they should be better equipped emotionally to navigate the stresses of life. But we're going to continue looking into this subject, jumping off with the question, why do men feel judged by other men? Why do men feel judged by other men? And now this isn't just limited to emotional vulnerability. This could be linked to any sort of competition amongst men.
Why do men feel judged emotionally?
Doesn't have to be just emotions.
I think it comes from insecurity. They don't feel enough in themselves, generally. So when it comes to talking about emotions, or it comes to, a lack of performance in an area at work, or lack of friends in a friendship group, like, they're going to feel judged.
Do you think that's because of a society's standard of what norm looks like for traditional male values?
Yes.
So if a man does not live up to the traditional male values in which society navigates, that's where a judgment comes in.
I think so.
So if we establish, I say we, society maybe rewards masculine traits such as stoicism, strength, emotional restraint, being a provider. I'm not saying these are correct or good or bad, just statements of what traditional masculine values are.
They all sound pretty good.
If someone doesn't live up to those expectations, men might feel more judged by other men because that is how we've expected men to navigate life.
Yeah. I think whenever you have a thing, there's always going to be degrees to that thing. Like, if you've got, who would be the most masculine man? It's like there's going to be lots of people that are pretty close to the most masculine man, but not quite there. And then there's going to be people less than them, people less than that, people less than that. Like the same with women. You're going to have very masculine trait women versus very feminine women. And then you also have very feminine men. It's like there's a sliding scale, if you like, of masculinity and femininity.
Yes, but why does that lead to judgment within men and masculinity?
Because the men who feel most masculine are in charge.
How do you mean in charge?
Like, nobody can say no to them. Because you say... if you say something that offends the most masculine man, you'll get knocked out. So there's just certain things.
But would you say that's healthy masculinity?
It might not be healthy, but it's just a fact.
But then I think it depends on masculinity, so defining what masculinity is. So, what is healthy masculinity, what is not? So maybe that's a good jumping off point before we come back to this question of judgment, is what does healthy masculinity look like?
I think it's somebody that's, a provider, somebody that can be relied upon, somebody that can keep a cool head in times of stress and put others before himself.
Okay. So you would say that's healthy masculinity?
Yeah.
Do you think emotional availability or emotional intelligence is a factor in healthy masculinity?
I don't know. I mean, there's nobody that doesn't have emotions. It's just whether or not they're in contact with them.
Because I think this is maybe where the core of the question of this episode is going to come down to, is what does healthy masculinity look like? Is that something that is only something that I relate to? Is this only my version of healthy masculinity? Is this yours? Is this society's? But I think emotional intelligence for healthy masculinity plays a big part. I think a man that is in touch with his emotions and his vulnerabilities, again, not to the all or nothing scale that we've mentioned before, but that is in touch with their emotions, the fears, the shame, the kindness, the tenderness, the happiness, A man that is in touch with those emotions, for me, is exhibiting healthy masculinity, because it allows them to deepen connections with those that they love and care for. It builds more trust because they are authentically themselves and they're not then suppressing emotions. So I think a healthy masculinity approach includes emotional intelligence and vulnerability.
Yeah.
Do you?
Yes. Because I think it's a key part of the healthy part of masculinity, is to be able to regulate your own emotions and understand other people's. Maybe empathy comes into it.
I think empathy would definitely play a part in healthy masculinity.
Which is obviously, like, healthy masculinity would then contradict in a lot of ways typical masculinity on the extreme, which is, like, you could use words like ruthless, mercilessness.
Because we design masculinity currently with, say, strength in mind. But strength is correct. I think that's a masculine trait, or can be perceived as a masculine trait, or a healthy masculine trait. I also think it's a healthy feminine trait. Strength as a whole, strength of character. Arguably physical strength as
I'd say physical strength is an interesting one, because anyone who walks into a room, even without knowing them, they have a certain presence about them because of their physical appearance and strength. So you can have a guy that's absolutely jacked walk into a room. It can be quite threatening, even if they're the loveliest person in the world. So then is, having a threatening image part of masculinity?
That's a very good question.
Do you have to, like, command some sort of presence?
I think those two are different questions. Do you have to command some sort of presence? Yes. How you do that, though, can be very different.
Yeah.
Because you can command a presence by being physically massive, but that can come across as quite powerful, quite authoritative, quite daunting, especially if you are, say, a female and you're surrounded by some big, strong guys. You might feel intimidated, regardless of whether they're lovely or not. Normally times, they are. If you're speaking to the big power lifters in the gym, they're the nicest people in the world.
Yeah. Because they know they don't have to worry about anything because they can take care of it.
But yeah, so I think having a presence is, yes, arguably included, but whether that's physical or not. But the reason I said about strength is because on the other end, on the all or nothing scale, the all strength is then likely damaging because it comes at the expense of other people. It comes as a complete overpowering experience of strength. So healthy masculinity, mature masculinity, is likely in touch with their emotions, their vulnerability, probably has high levels of empathy, as you've mentioned. But I think bolting onto empathy is respect. Healthy respect, valuing other people's dignity, listening, respecting boundaries, respect for themselves, respect for others. Respect is a huge trait when it comes to healthy masculinity. What other traits do you think align with healthy masculinity?
So what have we said? We've said empathy, we've said strength, we've said...
I said emotional intelligence and vulnerability. Whether you agree with that one or not is entirely up to you. You can disagree, you can be wrong, that's fine.
No, I think that is true. I think emotional intelligence is important. Other aspects of... I think it's just being equipped. I don't mean as in having a large John. I mean... I think having skills that you can, like, use. Things that are productive, worthwhile, something to benefit lives. Because if you have skills, you can sell your skills to other people in exchange for money. If you have skills, you can fix your house up. If you have skills, you can, it doesn't matter what your skill's in. It's just you've got to have skills.
Okay. Yeah, I'm trying to think of how you would explain that. So, dependable provider. It's not necessarily dependable provider. It slots into that, doesn't it? But
yeah, it's more specific.
yeah.
It's like you're trained in something.
Okay.
You have, like, I can play guitar. That's a skill. I can edit videos. That's a skill. A builder can bricklay, for example. That's a skill.
Do you think maybe that then shows discipline? Is that maybe what the underlining thing is? Is if someone has
could be
a
the
skill?
compounded effect, couldn't
Yeah.
it? Of like, it's not just, it's like if you have one person who's jacked and one person who's not jacked, who would you expect to do better in life? Well, the person who's jacked. Not because you're judging the person that isn't jacked, but it's just because you know for certain that person has consistency and discipline, and
to get there shown consistency, discipline, and understands delayed gratification. Yeah.
So that's really interesting. I did come up with another one that is out of my head. It doesn't matter. Never mind.
So healthy masculinity. I want to touch on one that I don't know if you'll agree with, but I think nurturing and supporting. For friends, family, children, relationships, whether that's in a role of someone that's caring, whether it's a carer or not, or whether it's supporting someone else's growth, I think it's just fostering, supporting healthy relationships. You know, someone that is able to sit with you, listen, and want to build you up as well. Not want to push you down, not want to diminish anything that you've done. They're there to support you. They're in your corner. They want to help you grow, because you want to be surrounded by those people that have your back and want to help you become a better version of yourself.
Yeah. No, I'd agree with that.
So I suppose in practice, what does healthy masculinity look like? It's a man who's a competent provider, but is also an attentive father. A strong leader who can listen. A confident individual who isn't afraid to admit when he's wrong. And someone who values connection and emotional health as much as physical strength.
Yeah.
So I suppose, you know I'm going to do it, but what's the flip? What does unhealthy masculinity look like? Often coined toxic masculinity. Or as you know, I like to say, immature masculinity.
I think immature is just a key word to use anyway. It's like they're not somebody that considers the chain reaction of any event. They just do something because it's shiny.
So a lack of ability to think things through. Poor decision making. Poor rationale when it comes to weighing things. I can't think of the exact word I'm trying to get to, but you know what I'm going. You know what bush I'm beating around.
Yes.
Yeah. Unhealthy. I know you wanted to make a joke there. Well done. Unhealthy, immature masculinity. You can argue it's very much the flip side of a lot of the topics we've already said it's healthy. So I said about being emotionally available. So
emotionally shut off.
Emotionally restrictive, believe that real men must be stoic and emotionless. You know, I love stoicism, but I agree it can be extremely damaging for men at the same time. Because if it leads you to bottle up emotions, like fear and sadness, and these ones that we coin to be negative, they often, like we said in the other emotions episodes, come out as anger or aggression. It's the Coke analogy. You know, if you just keep shaking a bottle, eventually that bottle is going to overflow.
Yeah, and then you have 3 or 4 kids. Never mind. But it could also be the extremes of all the healthy things.
Ooh, okay.
So it's not just the equal and opposite. It's actually overdoing the thing. So, for example, being emotionally intelligent, if your sole focus in life is emotional intelligence and constantly worried about what everyone's thinking because you're this will impact that person, this will impact, like, that's overthinking the thing, therefore is unhealthy because you're stressed all the time. If you're in good physical condition, it's taking it to the extreme where it limits your health or longevity. If it's emotional strength. If you become too emotionally strong, I don't even know what that would look like. Can you be too emotionally strong?
Would you think that would be then the point of hyper independence?
Could be hyper independence, could be hyper emotional or not emotional enough.
Yeah.
What were the other ones that we said? We said have a skill. So having too many skills or spreading yourself too thin across lots of domains can actually make you less effective as a whole, and would make you feel probably quite demoralized and making it unhealthy.
It's that Bernie Sanders quote, which is the enemy of the left is the far left and the enemy of the right is the far right. Often it's the people on our side that emotionally ruin our actual standpoint, that do more damage than the other side ever could. Yeah, I think that's a really interesting thought there. I've never thought of that, to be honest with you, that you often assume immature, toxic, unhealthy masculinity leans towards the counter of the quote-unquote healthy, but never the too much of the healthy, which is, really interesting. Because I suppose healthy requires balance, doesn't it? You know, whether that's a healthy degree of balance or an unhealthy degree of balance is whether they embody the complete emotional availability, so they're available for everyone, and then they have no time for themselves or anyone that really matters, and it comes to the detriment of their career or their relationships or their own happiness.
It's like if you have somebody at a healthy weight, then you can go one direction by making them less healthy by eating less, but you can also make them less healthy by eating more.
I like that. Very nice. One that I do want to touch on, ever so slightly. Unhealthy masculinity, rejection of feminines or femininity. Feminine energy. And again, there's a lot to be said about masculine energy, feminine energy, and I think everyone needs a healthy balance of both. That's my personal thought. And I think a man needs a healthy balance of feminine, and a feminine needs a healthy balance of masculine. But a persistent need to distance yourself from anything perceived as feminine, refusing to help with household chores, cooking, cleaning, shaming other men that are more caregiving or in roles of service, other men for being emotionally kind or emotionally aware. Any sort of rejection of anything remotely feminine, I think that's unhealthy masculinity.
Yeah, it's also insecure, isn't it?
Why did you say that?
Because your only reason for knocking something is because it feels like it challenges your way of living. And it's like, well, you must be insecure if you're having a go at that.
If something as fragile as feminine, if your standpoint is so fragile that something like femininity or an opposing view can make you feel that unstable, likely insecurity. Because the issue isn't the thing you think it is, it's you.
Yeah, and also when your fundamentals are unstable, it's probably because you've had to persuade yourself out of self-preservation that way of thinking is the only way to do it. So then somebody that challenges you is like shaking your whole bedrock of existence because you've lied to yourself to a point to say, no, this is how things are. And it's like you haven't allowed any room for reality in there.
Yeah, I do wonder how much of that comes down to upbringing for the previous generation of men. You know, I know my father and my grandfather were very much brought up in clear gender roles, which is the man earns the money and the female tends the house.
Good old days.
If you say so. So that there is a clear rejection of anything feminine. And I don't perceive that to be a very healthy masculine mindset. I know there's very much elements to be said with the data that backs up if a man loses, in a marriage, if a man loses his job, then 33% more likely to get divorced? And if a woman loses their job, there's no change.
No change, yeah.
So I get it. I do understand there is some roles at play there. I understand that. But I do think that idea of any rejection of femininity or roles that we perceive to be feminine, like housework, complete rejection of that, I think is quite unhealthy.
Yeah.
But I suppose it's different for different people.
I was having this conversation last night with Soph. and can't remember what goes into it. It was like, more money just fixes everything.
You said that.
Yeah, because I was like, all the things that I'm bad at in a relationship, I can fix with money. Like cleaning, hire a cleaner. Having a house, like worrying about where we live, the location, whatever, fix with money. You just move to a better place. It's like, so as soon as you remove a guy's ability to earn money, it's like everything then falls on him.
I don't think anything you said their ability to buy a house and cleaning. I don't think those are inability to perform in a relationship.
Yeah, they are.
I don't think they are.
If you ask Soph what was like top 3 things that annoy her about me, like in the top 3 will be Will's cleaning. Like, it was my last relationship broke up over it. That was one of the reasons. The fact that I never took my mugs downstairs to wash them up.
See, I don't think that would be. I think that would be a signal of a bigger issue.
Yeah, it could be.
And I wonder if that might be the same here as maybe Soph wants you to feel like you're an equal part in those jobs around the house. Rather than it being cleaning as the issue, she just wants to feel like you're an equal partner in that regard. But then again, that might be because you feel like you want to be more of a provider in terms of the financial aspect.
Yeah. Maybe the elephant in the room is just nobody likes cleaning. And men managed to get it to the point where they could work and not have to clean. So they made it a feminine job. So then women grew up thinking, oh, I've just got to clean. And now men are being told, oh, no, now you've got to clean as well. It's like, well, maybe the solution is nobody has to clean. You just pay other people to clean.
I think the irony is maybe people don't like cleaning, but people like a clean house.
Yeah, so pay somebody else to do it.
There's a lot of reward that comes from cleaning your own environment.
Is there?
I feel very at peace once I've cleaned my space.
I would feel the same peace if I wasn't the one that cleaned it. I would like the clean environment.
I'd like the clean environment.
How it got there is
but
irrelevant.
I like the therapeutic nature of it. Feels like I'm decluttering my mind, but that's maybe my association to the cleaning.
Yeah, turn it into some sort of meditative practice.
Very much like me, hey.
There is actually a thing about washing the dishes. When one is washing the dishes, they should be doing nothing other than washing the dishes. It's like just be present in that moment.
Absolutely. Completely agree.
I hate washing dishes. My back is killing me. I did 45 minutes of washing up the other day.
Why is your back hurting from washing dishes?
In this position, for 45 minutes, just washing things, scrubbing everything. It was hell. I hate it.
Why are you so scrunched over?
Well, by the end I was doing all sort of weird positions. My back was just screaming at me. I can't do it. I don't want to do it.
Maybe it's because you were just standing up for longer than normal.
It winds me out. I absolutely hate cleaning.
Okay.
Really winds me out.
So the reason I wanted to talk about healthy and unhealthy masculinity is because we touched on the idea of why do men feel judged by other men. And you said this idea of like a bigger man would just knock another guy out.
Yeah, aggression.
But I then don't think that is a healthy display of masculinity.
No.
If someone disrespected me and my first thought was to knock them out, you wouldn't go, oh, Connor's got it rocked on, hasn't he?
Well, I'd say that probably is a lot of people's first thought, but whether or not they act on it is the maturity.
I suppose, yeah. So,
like, how many times have people wanted to like knock out their boss because they've made them do something that's like not in their job description and just is taking the mick? Like, no, the first reaction is I'm going to knock them out, and then you think it through, you think about the implications, and it's like I won't do that.
Was that always your first thought, to knock out your boss?
Absolutely, and she was a woman.
Okay. Mine's never been to knock out my boss, but that's fine.
Yeah, but you're a nice person.
Yeah, so maybe...
I'm fighting it constantly. I'm trying to be a nice person in a body that's made for war.
So
but only when they don't fire back.
Yeah. So why do men feel judged by other men? Maybe it's because there's two sides of this. Maybe some men feel judged for sharing their emotions by other men, but then maybe those men are judging themselves because they have that inability to share their emotions. But I think the judgment probably comes from, unfortunately, two major elements, and I want to touch on them both. Is the fear of appearing weak and vulnerable, and the competition for male status. That's where I land. Which one would you like to jump into first? Because both are pretty gross.
Competition for male status.
Competition for male status. So yes,
Just
I think
the title of that topic is like full of testosterone.
it is. It is full of testosterone. I feel like my muscles grew in size as I spoke about it.
Yeah.
I was going to make another joke, but I decided to not.
Something about testicles?
No.
No? Okay. It was probably all right then.
Why were testicles on your mind?
Testosterone.
Competition for male status. So men are going to judge other men in relation to where they perceive themselves to be in any given setting, whether it's social, whether it's professional, whatever it might be. We are going to judge ourselves consciously or unconsciously to place ourselves, to allow ourselves to feel at place. So when it comes to men judging other men, they want to know where they align, how they weigh up to this person. It can be as simple as, you're going to have a race. Is this person quicker than me? Are they not? You're at the gym. Is this person stronger than me? Are they not? Do they look better than me? Do they not? But it can be subtle. It can be, is this person more emotionally available? Is this person a better carer? Is this person a better husband? Is this person a better suitor? And really, when it comes to single men, that's what it comes down to. Because it used to be, if you look at sort of evolutionary psychology, it was just who was the biggest, who was the strongest. Who was going to be the best to be able to pass on their genes.
Well, you'd just have fights, wouldn't you?
Yeah,
you'd have like the most eligible bachelors have a fight and whoever wins gets the dame.
Think of the silverback gorillas. The biggest and strongest get their choice pick of the litter. Same with the lions.
Yeah.
So arguably, when it comes to single men, it's the same thing.
Yeah, this is the other thing that's really interesting in the animal kingdom, is that humans really are one of the only, if not the only species that, like, it doesn't matter if you're not the biggest or the strongest.
Agreed.
But maybe that's just us denying biology at that point.
But it also depends on different societies' standards of attractiveness. The reason I say that is when I was in Mexico City, I was at a club, chatting in Spanish with these guys that lived there. Really nice, friendly guys. And they looked at me and went, "Do you dance?" I went, "Yeah." They went, "Okay, good, fine. You'll be all right then." And I went, "Why'd you say that?" They went, "Well, as a guy, to get a girl here, you've got two options. Be the biggest and strongest, or be the best dancer." And I was like, definitely not the biggest and strongest, so let's get to the dance floor. But it's the society standards, isn't it?
Yeah. But it's still, even that is like dance. Like no animal kingdom uses dance.
You know they do.
Do they?
Oh, yeah. There's a bird in the Amazon that clears like a dance floor and then actually does a performance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's cool.
But yeah, mating in the animal kingdom is very performance based, isn't it? The peacock, male peacock, produces its feathers as a sign to attract mates.
Yeah.
I would say it's almost more obvious in animals because it's clear. Because it's like, well, you have to do this to be able to get the mate. Whereas single men dating, it's not as obvious.
Oh, no, I'd say it is actually equally obvious. It's just
Really?
the metric is different. Like the man who is the biggest and strongest and earns the most money in the room has his pick, even in our intellectual society. And maybe he's also emotionally available. It's like there's no way he doesn't get his pick.
But I think there's different traits, isn't there? It's on average. So I suppose we're talking about averages. Because there's going to be, say there's 10 females in there and 10 males. Each female is on average going to have a different metric on how they're going to judge those men. And the men are going to have a different metric of how they judge themselves against the other men. So we're talking about averages. On average, a man has to try and balance simultaneously a few different things. Whether that's financial status, physicality, emotional availability, how they dress. There's going to be a height. Huge one. Don't get me started. It's gonna be all based on that, but it's the competition, isn't it? It's male status.
Yeah, but it's clear benchmarks.
Do you think?
Like, what could you do as a man in the world to increase your chance of getting the mate that you want? Is you get in shape. great first place to start. You are in touch with your emotions and know like how to regulate yourself, and don't flip out at minor things. Like that's something people can do. That's actionable steps that will actively improve your thing. It's almost a waste of time as a man worrying about how attractive you are, because if you are like, what's the thing? If you ask men to rate women out of 10, 9 times out of 10 they're like rated 6 to 10. If you ask women to rate men out of 10, you never get above a 7 or an 8. It's like it's not possible to be a 9 or a 10 as a man. Just a first impression to a woman. It's like it's not worth going for, because you'll never achieve it.
So suggesting by trying to appear more attractive, by outwardly signalling, you are therefore less attractive, whereas if you are resolute and you're confident in who you are, you'll likely come across as more attractive.
Yeah,
it makes sense.
It's like, but you can get in good shape, but it's not something.
You can get in good shape, but really what comes with that is the confidence in yourself that comes in being in good shape.
Yeah.
It's not then you're going to start taking off your shirt and start flexing your muscles, is it? It's the confidence you're going to have when you walk into that room.
Yep.
So I think, why do men feel judged by other men? Avenue number 1 is the constant competition for male status. Number 2 was fear of appearing weak and vulnerable.
It's a big one.
Yeah. Men...
Because you give up that status that you're trying to build.
Do you think? Tell me why.
At least with all the other men.
Tell me why.
Because... So we walk into a room full of men and women, right? And there's a man on the floor crying in a pathetic mess because he can't regulate his emotions and he's had a stressful morning because maybe he put on odd socks by mistake, right? Yeah, exactly, right? And I know instantly I am in a better position in that room than he is. Instantly. Like that's an obvious signal that you are worthless as a person. If putting on odd socks brings you to tears in the corner of a room.
Has this happened to you? This is a real niche example.
No, I don't think it's happened. Maybe something similar. I don't know. But it's like, okay, cool. You're like no longer a threat.
Okay, yes, but again, I love you, man, but you're talking in an all or nothing mindset.
Yeah, but that's the only one.
The guy that is breaking down in the corner in just a random room, yeah, is likely gonna be a little bit. Ooh. But do you know what's ironic? Because I reckon the man that's emotionally available enough to go up and have a conversation with them and try and help them, arguably, might then raise his status.
Yes, you would. But that's what I'm saying. You need the pathetic person to make the other people look good. Because it's a benchmark. It's a lanyard. It's like it's a yardstick.
But then say if you are another male or another female walking around that room and there's a bunch of men all just signalling how big and tough and strong they are, and every discussion they have is trying to up the
But
person.
it's not just, it's confidence. It's like having the confidence to walk up to a woman and say, hi, how are you? I like the way you look, things like that.
Yeah, no, I agree. But what I'm suggesting then is that if every man is suggesting the same sort of level of confidence and bravado, the man that when they get in a conversation that's able to be a little bit more emotionally open could then raise his status because it's out of the norm. Could being the key word. I'm just playing devil's advocate as always. You know me. But yes.
I do know you, and you always play devil's advocate.
Oh, absolutely, because you're always wrong.
Yeah, well...
So I have to suggest these things in a nice, tangible way.
Well, here's another thing I could be wrong about. If every man had their chest held high and was confident in themselves and had the ability to walk up to women and ask them out and could have a decent conversation, and it's not just based on looks, it's based on like, oh, what do you do? Oh, you're studying psychology. That's so interesting. Those types of conversations that really get to know the person. I think every relationship for both men and women becomes more satisfactory or satisfying.
Tell me why.
Because it's fulfilling. It's like you feel heard, number one. There's confidence coming from the man, which means that, they're fulfilling that almost leadership role. But then also women, if they were confident as well, oh, okay, she's confident in herself. She's not going to be an emotional wreck when, I don't know, she puts on odd socks or, I don't know, dress doesn't fit right or whatever. It's like she could be emotionally regulated. It's like that would just be a better world for everyone.
Are you expecting me to disagree with you?
No, I'm just throwing that out there.
Okay.
Do you agree?
Yeah, I do. I do agree, yeah. Because I think a world where people are confident in themselves will immediately lead to a better outcome.
Do you think men who are confident that aren't emotionally available or currently good at regulating their emotions can get themselves into a relationship just based off of that confidence and then learn the emotional stuff later?
Yeah. Yes, I do.
So there you go, men. You do not have to be emotionally regulated to get a bird. All you need to do is be confident, and then once you're in that relationship, then learn emotional regularity.
The reason I say yes is because, unfortunately, sometimes we don't know where the issues are until we're faced with them. And what better way to be faced with issues than in a relationship?
Than with a woman.
Well, no, because it's someone you love and care for. It's someone that loves and cares for you. All your vulnerabilities are going to be on show because they're going to be challenging you. They're going to be asking you to grow. They're going to be asking for better, more of you where at all possible. So you're going to be faced with challenges, which is going to show any flaws in character. So yes, you don't need to be completely emotionally available and resolute in who you are before getting in a relationship. You've just got to be open to work through it with the person that is with you. Do you disagree?
No, that's, makes sense. Perfect. Well said.
Thank you.
I think we've just solved masculinity and like how everyone could get in relationships, and we're just a one-stop shop, really, aren't we?
We are, aren't we? Yeah.
I feel like everyone can learn. So even just by thinking about this stuff for yourself, it's like, okay, what are the areas where I lack? Where can I improve? Those things. Like for me, I need to go to the gym more and open up more emotionally.
So, have you heard Chris Williams suggested something that he doesn't know how many men will have heard, and I am going to ruin it, but it's something along the lines of, I know you can be more, but you're enough already. Like it goes on to like a 2-paragraph speech on it, but something about like, I know you can be more, but you're enough already. I know you can be great, but you don't need to be great.
It's going on that journey just to get back to where you started, but with the refreshed opinion.
Yeah, this is it. And I think it's very much like you can learn who you are and you can navigate these emotional insecurities with someone when you get in that relationship if you're both there in it together. So my next question for you, Will, I think you'll like, and I'm curious to know your insights. Why do men cope by working harder instead of talking?
I think it's just where the person derives fulfillment from. If they're not going to feel fulfilled or are nervous to have an emotional conversation, it's a lot easier just to hide their feelings in their work or in their muscles.
Is that because that's a tangible? You can see the results. You can see the impact.
Yeah.
It's the talking might not feel very easy to understand the cause and the effect. Whereas if you turn up for work, you turn up to the gym, building a business, you can work harder and see the results.
Yeah.
You can put your head down and you can see tangible proof that what you're doing is making a better impact. Whereas talking, especially if you've never done it, you're not going to know.
Yeah. Like I was thinking, like, if I was to go to therapy now, I don't know how my life would be different afterwards. And actually, I'd be a bit worried about if my life would change afterwards. I don't know if that's an acknowledgement of how good my life is now, or if I'm using so much negative fuel that I wouldn't want to face the person on the other side.
Why would you be worried about that? And why do you think that would have such a profound negative impact on your life?
I've said before, all of the motivation I use for work is I'm being chased by a pack of wolves. It's like I'm running away from rather than running to. if I was to remove the pack of wolves through therapy, what motivation is there for me to work hard?
So it's the provider mentality then.
I suppose, but it's not doing it for the sake of providing necessarily. It's doing it just for doing it. It's like, if I'm putting my attention here, nobody can criticize me. Nobody's ever going to have a go at a man for working hard and trying to better himself.
Devil's advocate, I disagree. Someone will always find a reason to tell you why you shouldn't be doing something.
I don't talk to those people.
Valid.
If I do, I tell them they're wrong, and then they don't want to talk to me, which is fine.
But yeah, I think it's the provider mentality. You know, if people... Well, actually, no, like, let's carry on exploring this within you. So you would be scared that if you went to therapy, you would completely lose that pack of wolves. You don't think that pack of wolves would change or become something different?
Puppies. Or, yeah, like...
Pack of puppies.
Pack of puppies. Sounds wrong when you say that, doesn't it? Have you seen my bag of puppies? Yeah, no, it is a fear. It's like I quite like having... Like, I quite like running away at this point in my life. Is that mental?
I don't think I'm qualified enough to answer that.
I enjoy the fact that I have something more pushing me than just my own motivation. Because my motivation goes. So what keeps me disciplined is knowing that I'm running away from something. It's like, if I have to be working towards something every day, because otherwise I might have to face whatever the pack of wolves is actually representing. It's like, that's easy. I can do that. There's two options. There's either I face the pack of wolves, where I get ripped to shreds as a person, or I just keep working. It's easier for me to just keep working. Turning round and saying, "Hey wolves, let's have a chat." It's like, I'm going to take you all on.
I hear what you're saying, I do. And I understand the points you're making. And I think they're very valid. But I wonder if the fear comes from, and maybe this is true for people that feel like they need to work harder instead of talking, is the identity that feels safer in working. You know, it feels tangible, it feels safe, you understand who you are, and it's a very clear metric. Whereas if you decide to start looking at problems that have been previous motivations, who are you without said motivations? And I don't think it's a question on productivity. I think it's a question on who are you as a person without that. So I understand the point you're making, but I wonder the impact it would have on someone who'd never maybe stopped to look back. The same way you wonder what would the impact be if you stopped to look back.
I don't know if it's sort of like, this is something I've spoken a lot about before, as well as the sunk cost. It's like, I've already put so much my blood, sweat and tears into YouTube, for example, as my business. And whatever motivations I've had to this point has clearly worked because it's got me here. So why would I give, like, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. I just want to keep everything going well on YouTube. It's my number one priority. But then there's an argument to say, well, that's like the initial rocket launch. Now you're at the point where actually it's time to lose that old fuel and go on to the new, more sustainable one.
Good analogy.
It's just difficult. It's so difficult. Because human nature is you want to change something all the time. You want to be innovating. You want to be doing something else.
Do you think that's human nature?
I think so.
I think a lot of human nature is bred in comfort.
Well, maybe. From my personal experience, my YouTube channel blew up from shorts. My instant thing was, okay, how can I make these shorts better? Or I'm going to introduce long form now as well. I'm going to start another channel. I'm going to do lots of it because I've proved to myself that it all works and it's all fine. It's like, well, you're sort of forgetting the fundamentals there. The reason you're here is because of the shorts. You need to be prioritizing them over anything. Don't take on too much too fast. Which is why I've dropped a lot of the long form stuff now. I missed my first long form upload yesterday.
As long as you don't miss it on this channel.
I don't miss on this channel. But I'm okay with the fact that this is my long form channel, if you like. I quite enjoy that. This is more stimulating to me. But I'm also aware of, like, as an individual, the sponsorships and whatever come from long form, really, not shorts.
Yeah.
So it's a difficult yin and yang.
Okay, so men cope by working harder instead of talking, or they can do, because it can offer a temporary release. But I suppose there can be drawbacks of this high-functioning approach, because it is a high-functioning approach. It's not allowing the negativity to become all-encompassing. It's a high-functioning approach. You're still outwardly performing. You're still very much aware of the issues, and you're just deciding to continue onwards anyway. But it can lead to maybe burnout and exhaustion, physical health problems, if you are continually, one, not acknowledging any negative emotions or anything pulling the strings, and two, if you feel like you've got to continually work harder to get further away from those issues. Because eventually, like you say, that negative fuel might run out.
I was going to say, the amount of days I have where the idea of just staying in bed all day, hiding under the covers, is like, I have maybe 5 of them a month.
Damn.
For the last 3 months. It's been really bad. But I don't know if that's pack of wolves or if it's just, I don't know, something else. But it's the motivation completely disappears. It's like, I'm looking for the easy way out. And I've declined or refused to ever get into that state where I just hide away in bed, because in a week's time, I'm pretty sure I'll be all right. So then I'll regret not having done something that day. But yeah, it is interesting how we as men go through phases of certain stuff.
So, talking about phases then, let's talk about maybe, I don't know, I'm not going to reach and I'm not going to put words in your mouth, but maybe the bouts of not wanting to get out of bed is unprocessed emotions leading to like unprocessed trauma or some sort of depression. But why do we think male depression as a whole goes unnoticed? So why does male depression go unnoticed? Often goes unnoticed. I should maybe adjust to, because it's not always, and it's not just men's depression that goes unnoticed, but again, we are talking about men in this episode. So why does male depression often go unnoticed?
My immediate thought, and I'd be very curious to hear your opinions on this actually, like of the independent question, but my immediate jump was, I don't think people actually like men being emotional.
Tell me why.
People know it's good advice to be in touch with your emotions, so everyone's encouraged to be in touch with your emotions, be emotionally regulated, share your pain, because a problem halved is a problem shared. But the person who you're sharing it with, like generally, like people just don't want to deal with men's problems. There's not as strong of a connection there. People feel like men should be independent, is my jump. I think that's why depression goes unnoticed, because men don't want to share because they know it's unwelcome. Because I think everyone has the context in the back of their head of no, just man up.
It's something I'm curious about. It's something I've been thinking about a lot. And I know it's actually a very sort of debated topic at the moment, unfortunately. Especially, I know Chris Williamson, Stephen Bartlett have caused some heat from this sort of argument as well. My immediate response is I don't know, but that's because I've not really looked too much into it or thought about it. I would be curious to see some of the data and to hear similar conversations about it. However, I do wonder if maybe you are right. If maybe the world does not want to hear male problems. Maybe the world isn't ready for that. Maybe there's no space for it. Maybe it's self-deprecating. Maybe men have created that environment for themselves. Maybe it's not. I wonder if it goes unnoticed like you suggest, because People aren't worried. People aren't ready to hear those discussions. People don't want to hear it.
Maybe people just aren't equipped to deal with men's problems. Maybe we've all geared ourselves towards helping women with their problems.
Well, this is what I was going to maybe say as well, is maybe because we unfortunately have a track record of poor treatment towards women as a whole, and that is still very much still prevalent in this day and age. They're just like, well, why should we worry about men? Because they have, on average, had it easier.
I don't know if they've had it easier, if they've just had different problems.
Yeah, that's an argument to be made as well, absolutely. But when you look at, say, women didn't have the right to vote.
Yeah, but men were sent to war.
Work. Yeah, this is what I mean. There's definitely duality there. I 100% agree with that.
What would I rather do? Not be able to vote, stay at home in relative safety, or get shot at? I'd rather stay at home. Like, it's almost that parental role. Men assumed that parental role for all women. It was like, no, I'm going to put myself in harm's way so you don't have to go through that. And the man's the bad guy. The man is the bad guy. Now, I'm not obviously wanting to remove women's rights in any way. Like, I'm very supportive of women having the choice of independence.
Having the same rights as men, yeah.
Yeah.
There is an argument that's suggested, like, well, you want the same rights as men. Okay, if a war comes up, then it's people over 18.
Unfortunately, we know that men are more equipped physically for battle than women.
On average, men are stronger than women. On averages.
Yeah. And it's like, if the enemy is going to be sending their fittest and most elite soldiers, you will find all the fittest, like if you take the population of a country, the top 100 fittest people in that country will be men. Because what works at the averages doesn't work at the extremes. So on average, men have a higher propensity towards aggression, but you'll find that, is it 90% of prison inmates are men? And this is because at the extremes, men can get more angry than women. It's not just who's angry or who finds it more easily to anger. It's how much anger is felt. Men will feel it more on a more extreme level. So yeah, as I said, I'm not taking anything away from women, but it winds me up when people are like, oh, well, men have had it easy for years. It's like, no, men haven't had it easy ever. It's like, how can you say men have had it easy when men were sent to war, when men were, like, even the fact that they had to work because there was no other income in the house. It doesn't, like, it's easy to look back in old times and be like, oh yeah, the men, you know, they got to go to work and they got to do all these things. Yes, they did, but also, how much stress is that? You imagine if you were the only earner in your household. It's like, just because, we've said this before, just because women have had it difficult doesn't mean men have had it easy. Just because men find certain things difficult doesn't suddenly take anything away from the women. It's like they're completely independent, they're able to move independently.
I suppose that's where the disagreement and the polarity comes from. Is that we love to speak in definitives. We love to say that men have had it harder than women. We love to say women have had it harder than men. Well, no, there's nuances, there's subtleties, there's complexities. Both genders have had unique struggles. And to say if one has had it harder than others is not fair to either side. I think you've made some really valid points there. And I think you've articulated them very well.
Well, I mean, another way to put it is flip it round. If the government was to come out tomorrow and say, right, from now on, we're only going to send women to war and men are going to stay home and look after the kids. Like, outrage there would be. If the government was to come out and say, right, men are all going to, there's, what's the word? Compulsory
national subscription.
Yeah. To the army. It's like, men wouldn't be happy, but it would almost just be publicly accepted. It's like, okay, so that's acknowledging a clear difference. It's like, why are we more okay with that? As a society, we're happy putting men in harm's way, but not women. Therefore, there must be a natural thing of society wants to look after women and children more than they want to look after men. And that would make sense.
It does,
right? But when the argument of equality comes in, people only want equality up to a certain point. They don't want true equality, because that would mean, okay, women, whether you like it or not, we need to meet a certain quota of bricklayers this year, and we need 50% of all bricklayers to be women. At the moment, 99% of bricklayers are men. Like, we talk about the C-suite and stuff, but yeah, because everyone, their idea of C-suite stuff is like, oh, it's such a nice life. You just get to sit at the top of the company, boss people around, earn loads of money, take loads of bonuses. It's like, but if you want true equality means equal across everything. So you don't want that. You don't want equality of outcome. You want equality of options. It's like, that's fine. You can have that. And that's what we've got, basically. Just most nurses. Like, do you want 50% male nurses, 50% female nurses? Well, no, I want the people who want to be nurses, you know? Which is what we've got.
Do you think this is a luxury problem we've created?
Yes. We've got to... Everything's too easy. I think remove supermarkets and then see what happens. Yeah. Funny, right? Because only the men that could actually get food would be able to get women.
You'd see who would be able to care for themselves and who couldn't, and then who would be able to care for others as well.
Yeah.
Okay.
And you'd obviously see women that could get food as well. Like, my mum is great at all that survival stuff. She teaches it. And it's like, she'd be able to get food and whatever, but then would she be looking to get a man that can't? Probably not. She's probably looking for the man that could also bring in food so they could have more. It's like...
So then this is a luxury problem we've created.
Because... Yeah. And all the gender conversation as well. That's all bollocks. It's like, if you've got enough time to think about that, you're bored. It's true. If you're worrying about anything other than Maslow's hierarchy of needs, you're bored.
Okay.
People are unhappy about the fact that they can't go home and watch 4 hours of Netflix on a night. You're bored.
So why does male depression often go unnoticed then, Will?
I think it's just because people don't care about men's problems, fundamentally.
Okay.
Would you agree? What's your answer to that question?
I like your exploration, and I really enjoyed it. Thank you for sharing. That was awesome.
Put myself out there a little bit with that one.
We gotta do it sometime. Can't always walk on the fence consistently.
The problem is, if you wind up the woke people, you get cancelled.
It's because they're awake.
Awake?
Yeah, the people that are not woke, they're sleeping. I think it goes unnoticed. I know it moves quickly on. I think it goes unnoticed because we're socialized, we're pressured into just suppressing the emotions, you know, masking the sadness with anger, irritability, substance abuse, risky behavior, instead of showing vulnerability. So it leads to symptoms that don't necessarily fit the stigma of what depression looks like. And then because it doesn't fit this cookie cutter depression, you know, shape, it can easily be avoided. So I think it probably displays differently in men than it would do in women and children, and maybe slightly different to what we've expected on averages. That would be my answer.
Maybe the expectation was if men were to share their problems and emotions, it would just be the same as dealing with women. And I think maybe what society's realised is it's not.
What do you think would happen then if men were honest about their struggles?
I think they'd become outcast from society. I don't think that you can be... Like, where's the job role for that person? Where's their value to society?
Men were honest about their struggles.
Because you want women to be emotional, because fundamentally you want them to be good mothers. So if they're very emotionally intelligent, they're able to understand the needs of the child. if the man is very emotionally regulated and could understand the needs, like, 'cause children still prefer their mothers, don't they, at a very early age? If you look at many family dynamics, is the kid doesn't usually appreciate the father until they're in adulthood.
I wonder if that is because, I might be wrong, but as a child is brought up, the mother gets more time with the child because of more maternity leave, and obviously the mother can do things that the father can't, like breastfeed and all that. Like, there's a more emotional attachment because they were carried in the woman. So I wonder if it's that. But if men were honest about their struggles, I'm curious, because I wonder if that's maybe an environment that we're in at the moment. Like you suggest, maybe we are now in an environment where men are having more availability to share their emotions, but it's just not being met. So maybe we are conversely teaching men that actually they just don't need to share anyway. It is better to go back to this stereotypical archetype of a man.
It's almost crueler to the men. Because society's saying, yes, please share. And then as soon as they share, they're outcast. They're judged. They're mocked. They're avoided.
So how do we change society's view on men and their emotions?
I don't know if you do. Or you have to have different things put in place to deal with men. Because men's emotions might be anger, but nobody wants to deal with an overly aggressive man. And the problem is the people who are more people-led. If you look at men versus women, men have a proclivity towards object-based things, and women have a more biological propensity, as in they want to care after people.
Do you think maybe we would have, sorry to go on a different train of thought, I think maybe we would have better ways of supporting men? The reason I say that is, I can't remember the exact stat, but isn't it of men that have killed themselves, 80 to 90% sought help through the institutions that we recommend, which clearly shows that those are not supporting men in the way they need. So maybe if men were more honest about the struggles, maybe there'd be better support for men.
Yeah. Probably society's next thing to try.
Maybe.
Is that a better option than telling men, no, back to the old ways?
I think so. I think if we can adjust how we say, like if say both of us are right in different scenarios of how we answered the previous question, I'll use mine because it's the way I spoke. But if depression in men is showing differently to how it would in women, if we change how we would approach men in this scenario, because we're better able to recognize those symptoms, we'd likely be able to help them and support them better. So maybe if men were more honest about the struggles, or we recognize the symptoms that are slightly different to what we expect, it might reduce suicide rates.
Difficult one.
Yeah.
Probably why nobody solved it and implemented it.
I know, but we've got 3 minutes left, so I reckon we can do it.
Yeah, cool.
What would change if men were honest about their struggles?
Or how could we change it positively? Like, where is the fundamental...
I will give you an hour. We're changing it now. Not en masse, not on a big scale, but we're changing it now. You know, whether this becomes huge or not, whether anyone listens to this or not, between us, our worlds are changing. And I think this is how we change it for men. I know it's slightly different to the question that's posed, but this is how you change it for men. You have these conversations. You converse through difficult times. You disagree. You agree. You listen. You adjust. You adapt. You have discussions like this.
Maybe not because of the drinking, but pub culture used to be a huge thing for men. After work, you go to the pub, hang out with your mates, debate stuff, go home. It's like that was the norm for a lot of people.
We created a space that's free from judgment for men.
And it was okay to get a little rowdy in a pub.
space where men could allow their inhibitions to be slightly lowered, embrace the slightly reckless nature that comes with manhood, the slightly raised testosterone that comes from being in a group of men, the slightly lower IQ that comes from being in a group of men, but they're allowed to express themselves without judgment. But if it was maybe tailored, like you said, without the drinking and the boisterousness.
But the problem is we've tampered society through social media to where people don't meet up in person anymore, so they don't have these conversations. No. Nobody's having these conversations with their best mate over iMessage.
Over Zoom.
Yeah.
No, maybe. So maybe we need to have, like in Australia, have the men's shed movement. Which is really
great name as well.
Yeah.
So appropriate.
Yeah, so maybe it is just having conversations like this where men can be more honest about their struggles, which might then help us have a better understanding of how we can support men.
Yeah.
So maybe it's not a case of solving the problem, it's just a case of conversing about the problem. The first step towards changing is understanding. You got a final word for us?
Progress. Well, I used that one before. I might use that one before.
I don't think you have.
No.